Greetings and welcome to The Thirsty Mage, the podcast leaving milk and cookies under the tree for Yoshi P. Welcome to the podcast. I'm David Lloyd, and this holiday season, we're writing our lists and checking them twice, and we're thrilled to talk about which games are naughty and nice. It's the Christmas season, and we're meeting up for a pint and to share our thoughts about what we should be adding, or maybe not adding, to our Christmas list this year. Here with me is the man that's already teased us before the show of some incredibly scalding hot takes. Hotter than a spring in a Falcom game. It's Jordan Rudick.
Yeah, this has been just cooking recently, so it's not something I've been holding on to for a while. Some recent thoughts, but I'll save those for the end of the podcast. You guys have some work to do to convince me about something before we get there.
Yeah, but before we get there, we'll introduce our other gentleman with us tonight. He's here to help me viciously attack Jordan for not having finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's Casey Gibson.
Hello. First thing, beautiful intro there. Second off, yeah, Jordan, what are you doing? Multiple things we've got to talk him into this episode. The first being that we should really revoke his JRPG card for not having finished Rebirth.
I'm pretty sure Santa is bringing him a lump of coal for not having finished Rebirth. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
He should be sent to a room locked with only Rebirth. That's all you can do until you finish it.
That's right.
And that sounds like paradise, though, Casey.
I was going to say,
it doesn't even sound like a punishment. That's like the greatest thing ever.
But yeah, it's actually
send me to jail now.
Yeah. Casey literally listed what was on my Christmas list.
Yeah, dude, Rebirth. Oh my good lord, what are you waiting for?
Yeah. I don't like. There's no point in even doing Game of the Year podcasts this year because
it's already been decided.
We've already done like 8 episodes on Rebirth. Like how many more do we need to do?
When did Rebirth come out? Was it April or May?
Yeah, it was like end of March.
Before April, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Game of the Year was over in the first quarter of the year.
It's definitely when 2024 peaked.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
it was all downhill.
One might say when existence peaked.
That's right. Life is just a cruel.
There's before Rebirth and after Rebirth. You know what I mean? And it's
saying February 29. Jeez.
That's right.
Is that what it came out? Oh, it was early.
Yeah.
Early.
It's amazing.
At the beginning of March.
Dude,
you're right. There was an end of the month, but one month earlier. Yeah. Jeez. It has been a very full year of games. Like, I mean, RPGs especially, or maybe particularly. There haven't been too many like AAA bangers just across different genres. Like Astrobot was pretty good. Apparently, I do want to play that. It actually is on my Christmas list. Indiana Jones reviews just came out today. And seem to be very, very good, strong. Right? Yeah, it's like high 80s, low 90s. So I think it's on Game Pass too. So
yeah, Metaphor was what 93, 94. So you can't trust those Metacritic.
I got my dad an Xbox for Christmas. Well, me and my family all chipped in.
Nice.
And we got him a bunch of months of Game Pass. So that's good to hear. I think he could be interested in Indiana Jones.
It sounds like it's trying to be very faithful to the franchise and like really put you in Harrison Ford's shoes with a lot of like adventuring kind of aspects as opposed to actiony kind of aspects. So your dad might be into that. If he really likes Indiana Jones, it might be right up his alley.
Yeah.
It's just Uncharted and they've put Harrison Ford's face on Nathan Drake.
Dude, I wish they'd bring Uncharted back. I miss that.
They just announced that I guess a new one is coming. Like not to anyone's surprise, but I think it's part of their like anniversary stuff the last week or so. They did announce a new Uncharted, I believe.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll take up the mantle of being Drake's daughter, as
that'd be cool.
The protagonist. But I tell you what, speaking of the 30th anniversary, how cool are those themes? I don't know if you guys logged on your PS5 since then.
Yeah, I've my son was showing me. He thinks they're amazing. Like we were going through all the different ones. Like you hear the music from the old styles, and then the menus. The menu's still the PS5, but it's like themed to the old stuff, and it looks like the PS2 is like takes me back. Like it's crazy.
I flipped to the for me. I have nostalgia for PS1, even though I didn't own it at the time. Like I played it. I feel like 2 and 3, not really, and then I played 4 and 5. So I flipped to the PS1, that beautiful gray tone and theme. But yeah, dude, they should just keep those themes permanently. I think they're only temporary, but man, what are you doing? And
Yeah, I
also,
would keep it. Yeah.
That's what everyone's saying. Like, please, just why get rid of
Just
them?
leave it.
Just keep. Everyone likes
Yeah.
them. Like they're enjoying their PlayStations more, right? Just keep it. You know,
yeah, you've already put the work in,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that also means that they should be doing more themes like that. It's so frustrating. Like Nintendo too. It's like, I want to give you money, a couple bucks here and there for stupid themes for my console, and you won't let me do it. You know what I mean? Like,
It's really true of every single platform. Like that, everyone wants themes and they don't offer them, or they offer them like temporarily or something like that. Like,
oh, this is what you wanted, huh? Here's it for a month, and then they snatch it away.
like where are the marketing teams on this? Like, hey guys, everyone's asking for themes. Should we add them and maybe charge like $1 per theme? No, we'll do something else, or we'll just give them for free and then take them away. Like, I don't know. Like it seems
Dude,
like an easy win.
I bought so many on the 3DS because they'd be $1.
Yeah, so
Some of
cheap.
them were like $2, but like they were super cool. And then like you could even do the rotate where every time you opened it up, it'd be a different one.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then like some of it was cool, right? Like you'd get some promo ones, or just I don't know. I love it. I love that like flavor, to sort of personalize your experience.
Well, those
And I
3DS
don't
themes
get
were
why.
really neat too, because it wasn't just a visual. They had like audio, like jingles and things like that. Like when you'd open up like a new app or a new game or
Mhm.
something like that. Like I had a Metroid one, and you'd hear like Metroid sound effects, right? I'm like, oh, this is really cool. So it wasn't just like a skin. Like they actually went in depth, and those were really neat themes. I probably had like half a dozen of them or something.
I no joke. I had a bunch of them because
Well,
like I was a sucker, and it was so cheap that it was like, well, I don't feel so bad. A couple bucks here,
Yeah, it's good
like,
stuff.
whatever.
I don't know why they don't put it in that. Have you guys used that PlayStation Stars in the app?
I was using it a little bit, but the ratio of stars to dollars didn't seem very good to
Well,
me. But I
yeah,
do
well,
use a
it's
little
funny
bit.
because like I haven't even really been paying attention to it, and I just went in the other day and I had like 4,000 points, and it gave me $15.
That's pretty good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like I have no clue how I ended up getting all those
How many
points. But
games are you buying on your PlayStation?
I don't know.
Hey.
I don't know, but I was even thinking in there, like instead of because they offer these digital collectibles or whatever, and then I think there's digital collectibles, and then there's a list of games that you can buy, and then you can also just add money to your wallet, and it's like
Right, yeah.
it just seems like the perfect place to put the themes, because then it's like even if you're not spending money, then at least you're not taking money in the wallet or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it seems like the perfect spot to.
I think I know where you got all those points from. You get points for V-Bucks.
Oh yeah,
All of a
geez,
sudden,
that
your
would be
kids,
it.
you're
That would be it.
racking it up, and you're like,
I-
ooh,
it-
$15.
Is there? I just made money off all my son's video game plan.
But then you look at your credit card, and you're down 500.
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm pretty sure he has. I'm pretty sure my credit card's saved in his account, so he's probably just.
Ooh, that's dangerous.
It is dangerous.
But at least
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
That's so funny.
Oh man. Well, speaking of platforms, Casey and I agreed that we need to convince Jordan. He's the only one here in this episode who doesn't currently own a Steam Deck.
and can I give you some context for why I wanted this to be a topic? My wife
It's in
wanted
my
to get
cart over on Steam. I mean,
That's right. I think I said on another episode like that I tried out the Steam Deck at PAX. I was like, didn't feel super great, but I understand like that's not the ideal situation to be trying out a device, and you have like the pressure of just the situation, the environment, all that stuff. But yeah, lately I've been kind of like, maybe it's around the holidays. Everyone's like spending money on stuff, whatever. So my wife's like, okay, I want to get one of those Samsung rings, one of those like fitness tracker like ring kind of thing. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
so we'll get one of those. She's like, oh, if I get one, you're gonna want one. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like I'm happy with my watch. Like the watch is a fitness tracker. We've got the Samsung Galaxy Watch. I'm like, that's good enough for me. It'd
Me
be
too.
nice to have the ring, but total like just extraneous purchase, don't need it.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, if I'm spending like a couple $100 on like some tech for her, I do want to spend some money on some tech for me too. So I'm like, okay, do I want to get a Steam Deck? Do I want to get like a watch upgrade? I was looking at just some other like things I might want to buy. And so that's the kind of impetus behind me putting this topic on the list is I have been looking at getting a Steam Deck. I've been looking on Facebook Marketplace, very close to pulling the trigger, or at least like sending out some offers there. I've been looking on eBay. The Steam Deck, just the Steam Deck page, the Steam page that were selling them, they had the 64 gigabyte and the 512 gigabyte models on sale because I guess they're phasing them out.
Yeah,
And
you don't want those
I was
ones.
so close to buying. I was so close to buying one of those. Honestly,
Well, good thing you didn't.
yeah. Well, okay. So, anyways, you two experts here. It's
Yeah.
your chance to sell me on a Steam Deck and B, a model of a Steam Deck. So then I'll kind of zone in on one particular type.
Well, the good thing is so I have the OG. I have the LCD version because I couldn't wait. I purchased it like pretty soon. It was funny. I wasn't immediately because I convinced myself I wasn't going to get it, and then I caved within like 2 weeks of it coming out.
The first wave of second orders.
Yeah, it was like I think I was reading like, oh, the supplies are dwindling, and I panicked and like, no, I need one.
FOMO to the max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess what I would start with is Jordan is like, do you have a very comfortable lazy boy-esque chair in your home?
Yeah, like I have a lazy boy recliner in my office where I do most of my gaming, whether that's handheld Switch or on that's where my OLED TV is. And like I said, I'm playing so much on the OLED. It's a comfy chair, like easy to like just recline, zone out, get into it. So I do have a good space for that, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, you're making the sale for me right away then.
Yeah, there we go.
Because
You've got
there's
the perfect
nothing.
climate. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing like sitting in a lazy boy recliner with your feet up, your head back, and yeah, just like basically playing. You have pretty much every RPG ever made at your fingertips. Like there's so few games on there. I mean, Rebirth unfortunately is not on there yet, but
yet.
yet.
Next year.
Don't worry, he's gonna have it beaten before it comes out on Steam Day.
Yeah.
If we got anything to say about it.
Yeah,
exactly. If you guys keep pushing that, I definitely will.
But yeah, well, I can't remember how it was. This is the saddest thing is I don't remember when Casey, you and I did a full episode on the Steam Deck, and I can't remember if it was this year or last year.
It must have
gotta
been
be
this year. Yeah,
I think it must have been this year. Yeah,
I ordered it in July sometime, I believe. It was around July. And yeah, I guess for me, a big part of it was like I hate playing my Switch because every controller seemingly has drift, and the actual like plugging in the Joy-Con on the right side of the unit just doesn't charge it anymore. And I can't find, and I'll admit I haven't done like the most serious search of all time, but I had one of the charging controller, that I could plug in and charge it that way and use the Joy-Cons. But essentially, I just really don't like using my Switch anymore. So I just wasn't really gaming portably at all. I'd be playing my PlayStation or on the PC.
I think you've been drinking the David Lloyd Kool-Aid over there.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like I still love my Switch games. Like right now I'm playing Brothership. Yeah. And then I've got Echoes of Wisdom, excuse me.
There you go. Yeah.
Queued up as well. And then, with the Switch 2 not coming out to next year, who knows if there'd be some other games to play. But yeah, essentially I wasn't really playing it too much. And I was like, man, just historically in my whole life, I've just enjoyed playing portable gaming a lot, with the Game Boy Advance, the DS systems and all that good stuff. So I thought about it and I was like, it's expensive, and then I did have that thought like, what if I don't play it that much, and then I'm like, I just dropped, $600 or whatever the heck it is. But that was not the case. I play this thing all the time. It is amazing. So yeah, first off, the first thing is it's a little jarring how big it is compared to the Switch.
Yeah.
I would definitely say like I wouldn't be like, yeah, this is super portable gaming. Like I'm going to whip it out on like a 20-minute bus ride. You know what I mean? I'm sure you could, but like for me, it's more like, if I'm going on a long drive, it would be good. Or just like for me, I like to just move around in my house and like being able to play it wherever. And yeah, I went with the OLED, which I think, come on.
What size? I think there are 2 OLED SKUs, if I'm not mistaken.
So yeah,
1
so
terabyte?
there's the half a terabyte and the 1 terabyte.
Yeah.
I went with the half a terabyte, just because like, so it's $550 for half a terabyte and $650 for 1 terabyte.
Right.
Well, and another half terabyte, you can get an SD card for cheaper than that.
Yeah,
like cheaper
that's
than
true.
$100. You can get like a 500 gig for like $40, $50.
I think technically too, yeah, like the screen is a little bit better, I think, on the high end OLED.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask about all the SKUs, because I saw like, the screens seem to be a little bit different or more upgraded or something, depending on the SKU you choose. It's not just a hard drive concern.
It's the anti-glare, and I heard the anti-glare. Like, do you have the one with anti-glare?
I don't. So I think it might not necessarily be like, oh, the anti-glare is 100% better. That it might actually be more preference. But I think other than that, like I think you get a special case with it, and I mean you get a case with any Steam Deck you order, but I think you might get a little nicer case or something with the terabyte. But essentially, I think the biggest factor would be just this, extra space on the solid state. But I think if you're gonna do it, in my opinion, it would be like definitely get the OLED. Like that future proofs you for a while. And realistically, the next iteration of the Steam Deck, I've seen people thinking like it wouldn't be until 2026 earliest. So you wouldn't have to worry about necessarily being like, oh, I bought, this big purchase. And then like a year later, like, oh crap, like.
So that was my next question, right? Like, because I've also heard potentially next year as well. But if it's 2026, I'm more inclined to just get one this holiday and have a good year or so before I feel any buyer's remorse or need to sell the old one on Marketplace if I do really like it, and then potentially upgrade to a Steam 2. And who knows what that what that price point would be or the specs or anything like that. If you're happy with what you have and it's serving that purpose, then you don't really need to upgrade anyways.
I heard 2026 as well. Like
okay.
Basically what they're saying over at Valve is that they're not going to do an iterative upgrade. Like when the next Steam Deck comes out, it's going to be
sizable.
Yeah, it's going to be, you're going to know that it's a generational leap. So
I mean, the OLED already was the iteration, right? It's just following the same trajectory as the Switch, basically.
Right? I should say also the new OLED has better battery life as well.
Yeah.
It has that. Now, do you find that's an issue in yours, David? Or are you plugged in most of the time?
I'm probably plugged in most of the time. Like there's never been a issue where, because I'm kind of like Casey in the sense where it's like I'm not sitting in public playing my Steam Deck. Like I'm usually at home, like somebody's using the television, so I'm just kind of in the room with them and playing on the Steam Deck. So I'm never too far from a plug, and it's the plug, like you don't even need the Steam Deck plug itself. Like anything that gives you the USB-C power is good enough, and it charges quick enough, so I don't have a problem there. And
I'm finding my sessions are shorter now anyways. Like whatever I'm playing, and even if it's PS5, like I won't sit and play for 2 or 3 hours. I'll play for an hour and then stop and do something and then come back to it. Like I think it's just my habits have changed. It's an attention span thing too. Like it's not like when we were younger, you could go for 5 to 8 hours. Like we've got, degenerate number one Diablo fan here, Casey. He knows all about like me too. Just sitting at your computer for like 10 hours, like Diablo 2 or Diablo 3 or something like that. Right?
Yeah,
like
I definitely had some.
Don't have a body for it anymore.
Well, the most graphically intensive stuff, like the thing that pushes the Steam Deck to its limit, usually you still get like between probably 75 and 90 minutes at least.
Yeah.
I'll say with mine, the OLED version, I've like, again, like with David too, I'm very close to an outlet at all times, but like I very rarely have to plug it in when I'm playing. And like you said, part of it is, I'm not doing these crazy sessions, but even when I was playing like Doom Eternal, which is going to be pushing it to the brink, I played for like 2 hours and didn't have any issues, or like, when I was finished, it needed to be charged up kind of thing. It wasn't like it didn't get any damage, but yeah, like I said, I think for me, like if you're going to do it, like at least like, and that's why I went with the lower end OLED, but it was like, you got to get that OLED, especially if you've been gaming on the Switch, with an OLED, right?
Exactly,
You
and
were
I
saying?
have been, yeah, for a
Yeah,
long
so I
time
don't
now.
think it like to me, it would be like I mean, I still think it'd be 2 steps forward, but it'd be like 2 steps forward and then a step back, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you'd
yeah.
still be out ahead of the game, I think, compared to the Switch, but like that OLED's so sweet, dude.
I wish I could upgrade.
You can.
Well, I mean, I guess if
for
if
not
I'm
much,
gonna
I
if I'm gonna
could. But
try this, I feel like you might as well try what's kind of the best version out there, right? To really give it a
yeah,
fair shake, as opposed to if I get the LCD version, I'm like, oh, this is okay, but and then I'm like looking at OLED screens all day. Like I said, my new TV and this and the
Mm,
Switch both being OLEDs, you get so used to that, or you just enjoy it a lot more. So I'm like, then for the Steam Deck to be of those three, like the lesser screen. I'd be like,
mhm.
you know, I don't want to again, because Casey's hyping it up. I can see myself just knowing my state of mind about it. I could see myself being like, I should have gone with the OLED. Like playing
yeah.
like
Oh
30
yeah, yeah.
minutes in, I'd be something like that. And
Cuz yeah.
yeah,
It's all about the game because, like, if you're
yeah,
playing a game where there's blacks, then you're going to notice it when you're playing it on an OLED versus. Because like
yeah.
I have an OLED cell phone and I do a lot of gaming on the like I have an 8-bit Dual
Mobile?
controller.
Oh!
No, not mobile.
Oh,
I
we
put her in
caught
a
him.
I put him in a
Podcast over.
switch style. I put it in a switch style.
Nice, nice.
And I like to play my retro games on my phone. And yeah, you could really tell the difference in the deep blacks of an OLED versus an LCD.
Yeah.
But when you're playing like a colorful game, you might not notice it as much.
Well,
Eh,
see, okay, so this is my next kind of trajectory or questions is that I want to talk about like library. Like, what do you guys find yourself playing on Steam the most? Are you playing more AAA games? Are you playing multiplayer? Are you playing like more indies or smaller games or retro stuff? Like, where do you find yourself spending most of the time with this platform?
Well, real quick on one last thing on
Yeah,
the
please.
displays. I also am curious too if like Steam Deck 2 will release with LCD screens and then have that second iteration be the OLED. In which case, then I would
Hmm,
probably feel most comfortable chilling with my Steam Deck until the OLED 2 version
that's
came
a
out.
good point. Yeah, that's a really good
So
point.
you'd almost get, like the 2 years of it still being relevant and then 2 years of it still being good and then, upgrade then. But
Yeah, yeah, good call.
yeah. And but also we're moving to a point where maybe they do launch with an OLED version also, but I'm not sure. But either way, as far as gaming, like to me, like literally this is like an Atlas RPG machine. It is perfect. Like I've only played SMT5 Vengeance on it in terms of my Atlas games, but like I want to go back and like, eventually play Persona 3 Reloaded and some other games. But like to me, like those are just so like it just feels like it was made for the Steam Deck
Yeah.
with the visuals, with the turn-based gameplay. I think works well with in handheld particular, right? You can put it down nice and easily and pick it back up. Um, but yeah, I've been sort of throwing a mix around. I played like Doom Eternal when I first got it. Um, I've played some indie games and some, like Dave the Diver. I played a little bit of. What else? I picked up Vampire Survivors on another system because that game's so good.
It's great.
But yeah, for me, like my next big game on the deck is gonna be Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D
Good
HD
call.
whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It's really good.
That's my next plan. So
Well,
for me, I've just been
yeah.
using it as like an RPG machine
Hmm.
mostly.
Well, both Atlas and Square are like full on Steam supporting now. Like they both.
Yeah,
I would
it's
even say
amazing.
more recently than anything too. Like everything that's been, unless it's like a PS5 exclusive, Square has been putting pretty much everything on Steam now. And
God bless him.
yes, same with Atlas. Here, I've got my my library up here, and I've got a list of all the games that I've
Let's do
recently
it.
played. So
Yeah.
I'll go through it. Okay, so the last one was Metaphor. So I played that on the deck.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. Um, uh, I was so upset by Metaphor that I had to play some Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster
Mm, good
to get the
choice.
taste
Good
out of my
choice.
mouth. I had, it's like mouthwash and
You had to go back
garbage.
home. You had to go back home.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I played through Slay the Princess on it. Started Fading Afternoon. Didn't get too far though. I still have to go back to that one. Reinatus, Final Fantasy 15, Gestalt Steam and Cinder, Scald Against the Black Prairie, Final Fantasy X, the HD remaster, 1,000 Times Resist. That's a really good one.
Yeah, I want to play that.
Yeah. Athenian Rhapsody I played on Steam. Command and Conquer, the remastered collection.
You might have just stop. You might have just sold me right there. Command and Conquer.
Yeah.
And then he's booting it up into desktop mode and playing Warcraft 3. Diablo 2. Well,
it's
you
such
can't
a
play
slippery
Diablo.
slope.
Yeah, and for legal reasons, I can't mention all of the non-Steam.
Definitely not playing
games.
old Pokemon games on there. No siree,
Definitely
Bob.
not.
No chance.
Absolutely not. No chance. Not playing any, NES Square games, PlayStation games.
David has not been sailing the 7 seas. No, he has not.
Doesn't even know how to spell emulator.
Yeah, definitely not playing Parasite Eve on an emulator. Definitely not.
Dude, it's. Can't you play all the Trails games on there too?
I'm sure of it.
Every single Falcom game ever made is on Steam, I think.
Dude, it's so dirt cheap.
Yeah, and you know what else is dirt cheap is my wish list, where there's like 50 sales at any given day. Like it's ridiculous.
I will say, the one thing you need to really be conscious about is after you get the Steam Deck in hand, is just be careful when you're on the store.
Don't immediately go to the shop.
Yeah, Casey has some horror stories.
Because
that first week you're like, oh my god, Final Fantasy X's on sale for 50% off. Like I can't miss this. And then you buy it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh god, Final Fantasy 12's on sale too. And then it's like, you're like, I want to own all of these.
Cheap too. For like $80, you could have the entire Final Fantasy collection, probably.
Yeah, it's really dangerous.
But then it's like you got to reel yourself in. It's like, no, I'll buy Final Fantasy 13 when I want to play it. When I can play it.
You have to remind yourself.
I need to have it in my library.
The sale will come back. Don't you worry. The sale will come back.
It's only $9 right now.
The nice thing about Steam is that you can look forward to a seasonal sale. Like you can stamp your. Put your hat on that, or whatever the expression is.
Seasonal.
Right?
There's bi-weekly
sales.
sales.
I should say. Yeah, exactly. Maybe they'll take your themes away.
You also have reputable sites like G2A.com.
Yeah.
Oh,
very reputable.
Free cloud saves.
Yeah.
And I have the dock too, and so if you want to get into the TV game, and you can hook her up there, and you don't even need the official dock. You just need any dock that's like USB-C to HDMI.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I feel like for me, I've got like a great setup with like PS5 is for my TV gaming, and now I've got the Steam Deck for my portable gaming, and then I got Switch for Nintendo gaming.
Yeah, I just feel like I am maybe missing that third pillar, because I don't play the Xbox that much, truthfully. Like I'll play like the big releases. Like I'll probably try indie. I am looking forward to Avowed next year, and whatever else they end up announcing. Fable, I guess, if that's an 2025 game as well. But the Xbox I'm just turning on so sparingly. It really is just a Game Pass unit. But I do want to get into again, all the Falcom games, the Ease games that are on there, all the old Ease games like I haven't had a chance to play.
I'm pretty sure
there is just a wealth of games
too.
here. Yeah, exactly. They're cheap. It's not.
And here's the funny thing too, when you mention Xbox. So I have a Series X, and Reload, when Persona 3 Reload came out, like I had Game Pass, and instead of playing it on my Series X, I just played it on my Steam Deck.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, you could boot into desktop mode, right, and use Game Pass on Steam Deck.
No, I didn't even need to do that. You can set it up so what you do is you go into desktop mode once, and you log into your Xbox account into Chrome, but then you can add it to your Steam library. So then
so it launches right from
it just
there.
launches right in the launcher.
Jeez,
yeah, see, I might have to just, when we set my dad's account up, just steal his, and I'll have all Game Pass Xbox on there too.
Yeah. Here, Dad, let me set you up on this Xbox thing. Yeah.
The one other thing I've been thinking of, and I've mentioned this to you before, David, the sheer number of opportunities we have at NWR where a Steam code will be available before a Switch code, and so PR teams will say to us like, "Hey, we can give you a Steam code now." and then we'll give you a Switch one later. And most of these just go unclaimed because everyone's too busy, or if they're not covering the game and they don't maybe see a ton of reason to grab the Steam code or whatever. I don't know what the reason is, but again, they're just kind of floating out in the ether there. And I'm like, oh, it'd be great to like try games on Steam before I do a review on Switch, or maybe beat it on Steam, and then I can just check the performance on Switch and not have to wait for that review code to come later, because the Nintendo codes always seem to come later. Just the authorization and the checking process that goes on with games getting added to the eShop and whatnot. So yeah, that's a big plus for me for getting the Steam Deck, is just being able to play in a similar configuration games I'm going to review anyways, and get a head start, and then I'll be able to get content out earlier, do videos, whatever. Even comparisons between like a Steam Deck version and the Switch version, I think some of those are useful too. So yeah, just from that coverage standpoint, it's also definitely a plus.
Humble bundles too. You can $10, you get like 30 games.
Oh yeah,
they're just ridiculous. Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah, let me just say as a final thing on the topic. If you get one, you will not be disappointed. You will not have any regrets. I can promise you that much.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Is I feel like there's almost no way I'm not going to enjoy it. And if in the event that like maybe 6 months to a year from that, I'm just not playing it as much, I can probably recoup almost all the money on Marketplace. That's just kind of what I'm seeing, especially the OLED model.
Well, I was going to say,
there aren't a lot of used versions
OLED
out there that are much cheaper than retail. So
you know why there's not a lot of used versions? Because nobody gives them up.
Because you get the OLED and that sucker gets played.
Yeah,
I was going to say
makes sense.
The only really tragic thing is if we had this episode like 3 weeks ago, they had a special white 1 terabyte OLED version that looks super hot.
Really nice.
Yeah, they were charging more money for that.
Sold out pretty fast too. I think, right?
Yeah. I think it sold out.
Got snapped up.
Well, speaking of regret, we must know if you regret playing through the entirety of Dragon Age.
I hate that we set up that way, but I guess that's only fair. So this is, I guess, the third opportunity I've had to kind of check in on Dragon Age, the Veilguard progress here. So I was playing it on PS5. I did finish it about a week ago. And I think that, one of the things about BioWare is that we have a lot of fond memories of the original games that they came out with that we just, adored, Dragon Age Origins,
when they were good,
1 and 2, and it's just, it really, it isn't the same studio anymore. It's not the same folks making those games. It is a different team. And the effort to try to like link the old with the new is just a difficult balance, I think, to tread. And so I think I enjoyed like kind of the playing of it more. And then as I got closer to the end game, and I was like, I want to finish this because I want to get to a different game. And I realized I was leaving so many side quests on the table. I had this feeling of like, I'm just not really compelled to go and check out all this content because I wasn't truly enjoying it. What I really liked about the game are the boss battles. I think they're awesome. They're so fun. They're really tough. They are just this really great like skill and strategy kind of based challenge. All the way up to the final boss. They're just I'm like trying new spells or new loadouts, new teammates. I'm forced into positions where I have to use different teammates because the game uses like I guess this is kind of a light spoiler for those who are wanting to play it, but it has a similar kind of end game to Mass Effect 2, like the suicide mission. Basically, it has something like that where like everyone gets involved and you have to assign teammates to particular objectives, and you don't know what's going to happen to them, or whether they'll succeed or fail, or it'll be a benefit to you if you choose the right person for the right job. Those kind of things. It's line for line, just like the suicide mission. And I think it doesn't work nearly as well in trying to imitate something that actually was really, really compelling years and years ago. I think that once I got to the ending, and just knowing like I didn't kind of check off all the boxes to get like the good or the best endings or whatever, but also not feeling super compelled to, I think it just kind of left a sour taste in my mouth about the game as a whole. Normally, you guys know me. Like I would, if it's a PlayStation 5 game or PlayStation game, I would go back and I would try to get some trophies, do some trophy cleanup, and I just never really felt compelled to do that with this game. Once I kind of took it out of my PlayStation, I was like, I'm probably done with this. I don't see myself going back. So I think my final impression of the game is actually worse than like my middle impression. My earlier feelings about the game, maybe up to about the halfway point, I was enjoying it, but just I think the more I played, the more I kind of saw beyond the surface of it, and just have the interactions with the characters and the dialogue, which is just not very entertaining. Everything's very jokey and tongue in cheek and not serious. I don't like the character art. I think the art style does a disservice to the series. Actually, like I think there was it just doesn't work.
I've never really played these games, but from what I heard is like a bunch of the enemy design was sort of almost like not jokey, but like cartoony maybe in a sense, or just I don't know, like the designs didn't like you were sort of alluding to, where like they weren't matching what previous iterations of those enemies have been in past games.
No, and I think it's funny because I think the enemies are okay. Like aside from like some of the more humanoid looking ones, I think the like monster enemies are fine. They look cool. The dragons look awesome. Actually, the dragon fights are probably the best part of the game. There's a fight where you're fighting one and then a second one comes in. It's madness. I don't know how I beat that fight, but it's so fun when those kind of events take place. The boss battles, truly are a standout. But then it's between those really standout moments where it's kind of just boring and paint by numbers and nothing really super engaging happens between the characters. There's very few moments where I'm like, oh, I'm really fixated or getting really attached to certain characters, like that kind of bond building. It just doesn't really happen. I don't know. I don't think it's the fault of the voice actors. I think the voice acting is pretty good. I think just the art and the dialogue don't kind of come together in a satisfying way. And so it's a harder game for me to recommend now than maybe I had been the last couple times I talked about it. I think it's fine. I think it's pretty close to like a 7, 7 out of 10 type of game. I think if you're a Dragon Age fan, like a super fan, maybe you got to try it probably just to see kind of where they're at now, and that maybe get a sense of if there are future games, what they could look like. Because I don't think we're going to get what Origins was. It's taking some of the I don't know, like even Dragon Age 2 I think I enjoyed more than this game, and I can't believe I'm saying that because the combat in this game is much better. The combat is the best part for sure. The combat and the boss battles really 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 strong, but when you're not doing combat, I think the game just kind of drags, and just wasn't a huge fan. So, David, I know you were kind of waiting for a final thought about it too, whether you should try it out, and again, maybe at a deep discount, and if you've got nothing else to play. But
if you just said that Dragon Age 2 is better than this game, then damn this thing to hell. Damn this thing to hell.
That's all I had to hear.
I know. Yeah, I think the story and characters of Dragon Age 2 are better, and it's just if you had this combat
it from
Dragon
every
Age,
list I
awesome.
have. Forget this. I'm not even touching this with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, it didn't come together for me, unfortunately. And again, I'm very interested in that series of games. Like I do really like them a lot, though the Inquisition didn't hit quite as much for me. But I've played Origins so many times, and I absolutely adore it. And it's just such a far cry from that now. I think it's just it's not the same series. Almost.
I need to play Origins again.
Yeah, we absolutely need to go back and play that game. Yeah. Maybe on Steam Deck.
I'm curious if it's on there. I bet you it is.
That'd be great. I know. I think I have it already on Steam, so that would be a pretty easy win for me there. But no bueno, no big recommendation of Veilguard for me.
The Ultimate Edition of Dragon Age Origins is on Steam Deck.
Sweet, let's go. We should do a Dragon Age Origins episode next year. Like that's I really want to do that actually.
Or you could just join EA Play for $7 a month.
If you're playing on the Steam Deck, I'll buy it. And I'll play along.
I will as soon as if I get my Steam Deck, when I get my Steam Deck at this point, maybe I'll send you a picture of me playing Dragon Age Origins. That'll be cute to load it up. I think you
I
can get it cheap
guarantee
on
this will be
sale
on
too.
sale. I was just gonna say
Yeah,
because it's $40 right now, and it's guaranteed it's gonna be 50% off on Boxing Day.
yeah. Just wait.
Yeah,
And the Ultimate Edition comes with the Awakening DLC is sizable. It's like another half a game basically. And some of the other DLC, like I think they're like 5 to 10 hour kind of things. I think they're fun too. So yeah, the Ultimate Edition is a good package.
see, it's all coming together. It was all a master plan. Get that Steam Deck. Get the good Dragon Age. There we go.
Well, the best part of this conversation so far is that we're going to play Dragon Age Origins again. if that comes from playing Dragon Age Veilguard, it may be worth it actually.
Mm. Well, we got a couple other games to talk about too, and it's funny we were talking about the holiday season, and I know in previous years I think we attempted to try to play like games that were based on Christmas, and there's like so few. It's actually kind of surprising how few there is. I know did we all play Cthulhu Saves Christmas? Or I know I played it.
Yeah, I think I played it. I think we played that
Yeah.
as a group, yeah.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah. And like that's pretty much the only one that comes to mind. But it was funny. I started playing Parasite Eve, definitely in some legal manner, for sure. I'm definitely not playing it in an emulator, and or as has been advised by my lawyers. But the
a pure-hearted Canadian like you would never do such a thing.
Never,
absolutely not. No. Shocked to find out that this is a Christmas game in the way that Die Hard is the ultimate Christmas movie. In the fact that there's really nothing Christmas about it other than the fact that it takes place over Christmas.
As much as I've heard about this game and heard the name, people have a fondness for it. I know nothing about it. Like you got to give a little synopsis. I just don't know.
It's yeah. So I'm the same with you. I don't know how. Like I've gone through it my life and really not seen much, but this is definitely going into it. Like this is Resident Evil. This is basically Square Enix saw Capcom making Resident Evil and said, "Hey, we could make something like that too," And so they made Parasite Eve. This is, I think it's either based on a book or a manga. Like I'm not sure which one, but it's definitely like based on a literary thing.
Yeah, it says a novel.
Yeah. So it starts off with the main character. I believe her name is Anna Frey, and she's a New York police.
Bray. Anna
Bray?
Brea?
Yeah, it's a weird. It's a weird name. I always keep, and I get it mixed up with a couple other names. But yeah, so she's a detective with the New York police. But when the game first starts off, she's actually like on a date, and I can't. She doesn't seem to be too pleased to be on the date, but is going through with it anyway. And it takes place. They're going to see an opera. And so when they go in, it looks. I don't even think they showed up on time. I'm pretty sure they're like walking in partway through the opera. But the lead singer is on the stage, and so it's like this very like tall, imposing woman, and she's singing. And then as she's singing, everyone in the building starts lighting on fire, like spontaneously combusting.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and so there's like people, and it's all in like original PS1. Kind of like
all its glory
graphics. Yeah. So it looks hilarious. You see these charred bodies like in the seats of this theater, and she's the only one only person there not lighting on fire. And and she's in like a dress, like a full on like black nightgowny type, go out to the opera dress, and so she pulls a gun out of somewhere, I don't know where, and the way that it works is it's like a very basic tactical combat system. So there's an ATB, and when it fills up, then you can shoot your gun or punch, basically, because there's ammunition. So if you run out of ammunition, you have to either like punch or use a billy club or whatever. And I haven't run out of bullets yet, though, so I haven't really gotten too much into the fighting part. But there's like
close and personal and give him a good whack with the billy club.
Yeah, no, not yet. I'd like to hang back and just snipe. That's
doesn't
my
sound
go-to.
like Resident Evil then, because
it would have been.
Yeah. But so what happens is you're moving around. There's like a kind of an enclosed space, but you can move around while the ATB is filling up, dodging the enemy's attack. And then when it fills up, there's this like sphere that comes onto the screen. And then if the enemy's within the sphere, then you can have Anna. You basically have like a number of turns where you like shoot 2 bullets at the enemies, and when you kill the enemies, then you pick up the loot and you just continue on with the story. And there's no like, it's all like in game. Like there's no, it doesn't like flash to a battle scene or anything. Like it just like the enemy walks up to you and then you just start fighting. And so I'm not too far into the game. I'm a couple hours in now. There's a lot of story to it. Like there's an initial, where the villain kind of reveals herself, and they keep going on about mitochondria, which is hilarious. Like mitochondria is the energy powerhouse of the cell or something, and when she first meets up with the villain, she like the main character has a flashback of her being in a hospital bed. So there's obviously this foreshadowing of why she's the only one not lighting on fire. And so the first like level is basically the opera house. So there's you initially have that fight, and then you go down to the next floor because like the villain is kind of trying to escape. So you go 1 floor down, and then you can look in all the rooms, and there was like this is it Pagliacci, the clown, the opera clown. He was dressed up in this room, and I was talking to him, and he's like, we're talking, and I tell him to, you should leave the building. There's this crazy person lighting people on fire. And he's like, oh, okay, great, thanks. So as soon as he runs out of the room, he lights up on fire. So I guess I kind of blew that one. Should have left him let him sit in the dressing room where he was safe. But yeah, you look for like, you need to find a key to get to this other room. And so it's very light exploration. And you get into another fight, and there's these giant, I don't know why there's like these giant rats that are like from the rats of unusual size from Princess Bride. I don't know why there's not really, maybe it was explained to me, or it will be explained, but they're just these massive rats running around the opera. So those are what I'm fighting. And then we end up getting into the sewer as I'm chasing her through the sewer. And then there's like crocodile men that are like, I don't know, no idea what's going on. I think it's all like based on this villain has like some kind of cellular thing going, and maybe she's like creating these enemies on the fly sort of thing. But I get through all this, and then she escapes the villain, and then I come back to the front of the opera house, and the NYPD is showing up, and I'm talking to this guy. I swear to God, the Square people must have been watching Die Hard at the time, because because there's a scene where a reporter comes up and starts asking Anna these questions, and her partner walks up and just slugs the reporter. So then they go back to the I don't know, headquarters or whatever, and you kind of walk around talking to the cops there, and then they get this thing where there's this scientist that might have an idea of what's going on. And so I go to this museum, and I don't even think there was any real, I don't think there's any combat there. You just go walk through talking to people, and you get more story beats, and then they're heading back to the precinct and stuff. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So I've looked it up. I think the game's only like 8 to 10 hours long, so it's not going to be like a big commitment or anything. But it's so weird playing. like you could feel it's dated a bit, like it's that PS1 glory for sure. Like it reminds me, the characters are very Final Fantasy VIII looking.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can tell what they are, but it's still kind of pixelated.
What made you decide to play this game too? Was it just part of your Square Enix Odyssey, or did something get picked up on sale or something like that?
No, well, it was definitely one. It's funny too, because
definitely got on a good sale.
Yeah, very good sale.
I picked it up at a retro game. I saw it like for a good price. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna grab this.
Yeah.
But what's funny is I was my wife was asking me for Christmas gift ideas, and so I'm going through, like, I have a spreadsheet of all the Square Enix games ever made, and I'm like, okay, which ones do I own? And then I see Parasite Eve 2 I've checked off, and I'm like, I don't own that game. And I open my drawer, and it's right there. And I'm like, when the hell did I buy that game?
Nice.
I blacked out. I bought Parasite Eve 2.
Yep. So I was like, well, if I own them both, I should probably play the first one at least. So that might have been the impetus to actually get started on it. But I got a big drawer of Square Enix games I really need to get to.
Yep, they'll keep you busy.
Well, I'm curious to see how it wraps up, and because again, it's just one of those games that's always eluded me. But I know people who have played it back in the day that they still long for another Parasite Eve game or a remake or something like that. But it just seems like a series that has kind of
it's got licensing problems now because they no longer have the license for the novel because there was actually a third game that came out on PSP. Called The Third Birthday, and it's called The Third Birthday because they lost the rights to the Parasite Eve.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah. And and funny enough is that one's on my Christmas list.
Not your birthday list.
No, birthday's still a few months away.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That'll be some other Square game.
Yeah.
No doubt.
There's no shortage of ones I still need to pick up. And I got Saga 2 and Dragon Quest 3 2D HD. Although now that I've been playing Dragon Quest 3 on the Game Boy Color version, I don't know if I'll need to pick up the remake one for.
You might need a break.
Well, again, you'll catch it on sale next year.
Yeah, get it on sale.
Price.
That's right. Yeah, on my Steam Deck.
Yep, and it'll run and look amazing.
So speaking of horror games, Casey's got one for us.
Yeah. So, well, it's funny. So in terms of Silent Hill, I guess I've always sort of been more of a Resident Evil guy growing up. Actually, I played Silent Hill 1. Shoot, it had to be like 12 years ago. I moved in with a couple buddies and I bought off eBay and I still have it. And it's actually funny because now the first Silent Hill is worth like $100+ for just the CD. But I've never played any other game in the franchise. So when they did the remake coming out, I was definitely interested. And it came out right around Halloween or earlier in that month. And I was like, oh, it'd be a good Halloween game, but I don't want to spend $70 on it. I was like, maybe I'll catch like someone who bought it and beat it quick or bought it and it was too scary and they're selling it and, get a good price. Didn't happen. And then it was sort of like, well, I've missed the Halloween window. So it was like, I'm not in no real rush to get it now. But Black Friday came around and it was $30 instead of 70. So I was like, all right,
great price.
Yeah. I was like, I'm in at that price for sure. Like I was hoping to find a used copy for like half price, to get a brand new one for 30. It's like, let's go.
Yeah.
So yeah, first experience with Silent Hill 2, and I put in about 2 hours so far. And man, yeah, they really do a good job of making a freaky game. It's more psychological. Obviously there's still lots of gruesome, gross stuff going on, but I feel like so for instance, whenever like an enemy's sort of near you, like your radio starts to crackle. And that comes out of your controller. So like, and then you get like a little vibration with it too. And it just like really eerie, you know what I mean? Especially, so like you get into Silent Hill and it really doesn't tell you anything. Like you're essentially, I guess, the story is your wife died a couple years ago, but you got like a note, a letter from her essentially saying like, come to our spot in Silent Hill, so you're sort of like, okay, like what's going on here? And you just go in and then like, as you progress into the town, it gets super fogged up and, traversing, or exploring, I should say the town itself when you're outside, lots of fog. So you're very limited, like distance of how far you can see or, your visibility. But you've got a lot of room to move around. So like, I wasn't too afraid outside, but then when you start getting into like the tight areas and like, they start messing with like the lighting and stuff, where, that door, that was closed is now slightly ajar, and it's like really dark in that room, so it's like, ooh, they do a really good job of making it creepy. And I've only really seen a few enemy types. I did see Pyramid Head from afar. So obviously he's probably the most well-known
I think so.
enemy
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the Silent Hill franchise.
Or the only known enemy for
Yeah,
I
really.
think in
Yeah,
my case.
for real. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I would say that too. And I played the first game. Like I can remember vaguely some enemies, but yeah, definitely. He was sort of at the end of a hallway where like he was just there to creep you out. But like the worst part, quote unquote, is when you get like into an area and you're sort of exploring and like there are enemies nearby, but you can't see them. So like your radio is just going the whole time as you're like slowly checking around the corners and stuff. Definitely freaky. I will say what I really like is when like you read like notes, right? So it's a survival horror game. So like Resident Evil games, and I feel like a lot of the genre, you sort of pick up the story bits through like notes and letters and stuff you find as you go around. But what's nice is like if you read a note and they're like, yeah, I was over at the tavern here and I remember seeing this. And then like when you look at your map, like the tavern will have a circle around it, like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, like any information you gleaned from those memos is sort of marked up on your map.
That's
Uh,
kind of nice. Yeah. I like
and it's
that.
cool because it's like written hand, like there is no HUD per se, right? Like you don't have a mini map in the corner, like you pull out like a little hand map and then yeah, it's sort of written like as if he jotted the notes down. So yeah, so far I've been enjoying it. I just got the gun. I will like the sound design is absurd in this game. The way like when you like so like the first weapon you get is just like a board with nails in it. So like obviously you're like hitting these enemies just like winding up and smashing them with a wooden bat with nails, and just like obviously you're scared, right? You're like getting it to, and he's like, "Ah!" Just like you could hear it. Oh, I don't know, just the way he like screams when he's like attacking enemies, it's really really well done and just adds to that, you know the creepiness, and then like the like, oh god, like this guy's in a crazy situation. You know what I mean?
Now, is this a game, Casey, you're playing like headphones on, lights off? Like, are you kind of simulating that horror environment for yourself? Or are you like, no, I gotta have my lights on, just the TV speakers? Like, how are you going through this game?
So yeah, I mean, so I got it yesterday, and I've done 2 hour long sessions. So last night I played after Chance went to bed. So I think I played from like 9:30 to 10:30 maybe, or 9 to 10 or something. And yeah, I had like the lights off, but like Kate was in the other room, so it wasn't like pitch black,
Yeah, yeah.
But it was pretty dark. And then I played this afternoon, so I closed the blinds the best I could. But
Nice.
I do have headphones, but I've actually just been playing with the TV. And like I said, been using like the controller with like the radio crackle. I feel like is like really cool. So I wonder how that would sort of translate with headphones on.
See, I remember when my son or sons were young, like I would use headphones a lot, just because if I wanted to have something louder on the TV downstairs, I didn't want to wake anybody up, or even if I was playing like a Mario game or something like that, I'd still do the headphones for the kids. But I don't know if you guys have space in your place, like so that's not an issue.
Yeah, I guess for me it's just sort of like Chance is either with me and I'm
Yeah,
not playing games, he's sleeping. So
yeah, fair enough.
yeah, I do want to try with the headphones because I do have the the Sony Pulse ones or whatever they are. So
Yeah,
it's got like
right.
3D audio and all that good stuff. And I think it actually does say like you should play with headphones on. So I do need to try. And like I said, in my first 2 hours, I feel like the game's been pretty tame so far. Like it's been some freaky moments, but like I know the way Silent Hill sort of gets, or at least my memories of the first one, and I'm expecting some real messed up stuff.
Yeah, I heard it's
Yeah.
pretty wild.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, so I'm expecting like as I sort of get deeper, yeah, maybe the headphones will be even better when you get to that, or or maybe worse, I guess, depending on
Exactly. Yeah.
what
No,
it
that's
is.
what
But
I've, just feels like one of those games like would lend itself really well to whatever they're going to do in the headphones there.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it would. Yeah, for sure. I think so. Yeah, I'll have to try that out, and if I can, if I man up enough.
There you go. You got to
But
set a
yeah,
good example for your son now, right?
yeah. But also,
Yeah, exactly that. It's okay. It's okay to be scared sometimes. It's
yeah.
okay. You're allowed to
If you
cry
got like a
sometimes.
weird mannequin stitched up lady coming at you, you can scream.
That's right. That's right.
Chance's first words will be wuss.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Baby.
baby.
Pyramid head.
Yeah. Or just all the
ACC.
screams and grunts as I wail that guy with a bat.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, yeah. That's good. Oh, man, I don't know if you guys are ready. So I said in Slack before we were recording, I think, or maybe when we hopped on the call, but just before we started recording, that I did have a fairly hot take to deliver. And it's funny because the podcast kind of started off in a way such that it would maybe be harder to deliver such a hot take. But I'll just drop it and we'll see what happens. So I've been playing Metaphor. About I think I'm in the like 12 to 13 hour range Metaphor, which is kind of coincidentally probably around the same amount of time that I've put into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. 15 hours or so. I think I have a good sense of what each game, at least mechanically and progression wise, what they're doing as RPGs. I think I am enjoying Metaphor more than I was enjoying Rebirth.
And that'll be it for this week, folks. We thank you for coming.
Oh, yeah.
And Jordan's body was found in the quarry.
Yeah, I was just say we've got some contract negotiations to go through
Also,
the fine print, see how we can terminate this thing.
Jordan's last episode of the Thirsty Marriage.
The only reason I'm not jumping through the screen and throttling you right now is because you haven't gotten to the worst parts of Metaphor.
Right. That's right.
So I'm giving you a slight pass.
And you probably haven't gotten to the best parts of Rebirth.
Right, exactly. I haven't got to Golden Saucer. I just ended at or wherever it is the best place, but I just ended at Costa del Sol. And
it reminds me of that meme. I don't know if you've seen it, where it's like the Jets are 3-9, and our hype levels, like this was the best we were supposed to be, and then the Patriots are 3-9, and they're like, this is the worst we're supposed to be, and here we are at the same level.
It's the same thing. Yeah, that's good. It is like that. I know that something in Metaphor is going to happen. I'm going to be like, oh, this is lame. I don't like this anymore. The game will fall off a cliff. So I'm told. But what I can't imagine that the gameplay will. Maybe the story does, but I'm really enjoying the gameplay. I think as a turn-based RPG, just in terms of progression and exploring around and completing quests, how they've adopted like the Persona formula and kind of turned it on its head in a lot of ways. I really like. I like the progression of the archetypes as opposed to catching monsters. I was kind of done with that. I think between playing multiple Persona games and then SMT, it's just a lot of games where you're doing the same kind of thing of collecting the same types of monsters and then evolving them or making them stronger, or whatever. I was looking for something new, and I think this game does that. It tweaks the press turn system slightly. Like it's still there with like you hit a weakness and such, but the way that you can accrue extra turns or lose all your turns and stuff. Every battle feels like every decision in a battle feels more consequential. Enemies have less health, I find, but they hit really hard, or they can hit really hard. So you can get wiped in a turn or two if you're not careful. And so I think the upgrades or changes to combat are really meaningful. Really digging those. The world and the story, like it's fine. Like it's not what is driving me to play more Metaphor. I do like the characters that I've met so far. I think the voice acting is really good. And I like the kind of towns and kind of settings that I'm going to. I think the art looks really nice. And this PS5 exclusive, you're kind of doing a lot, I think, with the hardware. But I know that something about Metaphor is going to probably rub me the wrong way eventually. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to dissuade me from thinking that this is a really, really good game. And maybe I am going to be one of those among the critics who, just really, really enjoys the game and would give it a very, very high score. I'm not saying that by the time I finish Metaphor and finish Rebirth that I'm going to like Metaphor better, but I am saying right now, minute to minute gameplay, if I was playing Rebirth or Metaphor, I would go for Metaphor.
When was the last time you played Rebirth?
Probably April or May. Like it obviously has
Recency
been a long
bias
time
for sure.
I don't like that combat as much. I'm a turn-based boy through and through. I like my turn-based. I can't get over that fact that like yes, the Rebirth combat's fun. It's good. I enjoy it. But it's not pure turn-based. And I know, I've probably said on this podcast, like I really like that hybrid style too, and I do. I think it's a good change for a remake of Final Fantasy VII. But just at my core, I prefer turn-based, and I'm it's turn-based RPGs for me this year that have really hit it out of the park, right? Dragon Quest III, Romancing Saga 2, these are the games that really stood out for me. And I think Metaphor is going to be one of those that could I mean, it's early, could be my game of the year.
Yeah, we'll see what your opinion is when you go into the 12th cave that looks like the first 11 that you just went in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe
I forget, Jordan. Did you play SMT5? You played the original.
I played
one,
the Switch
right?
version, yeah,
Not the Vengeance.
No, I didn't play Vengeance.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I it's a big game, and I don't know that I'd go back to it unless like super steep discount. I did enjoy it, but I found by the end of that game I was kind of getting to a point of being done with it. But I do like that game a lot.
Yeah. For me, I feel like Vengeance would be my runner up.
Yeah. I just thought for sure Romancing Saga 2 was going to be mine, but now I'm playing Metaphor. I'm like, oh geez, Metaphor's really, really good. And yeah, I mean,
the
I know I need to go back to
is
Rebirth, and I will,
like,
but
the archetypes, the archetypes is like the best thing about Metaphor. Especially when, like you said, when you've played SMTs and Personas, and it's all about the demon collecting or whatever. So it is, like a fancy new toy when you get the archetype stuff. It's tough. Like the game pisses on the archetypes by the end though too. So it's
if he's enjoying it, let him keep enjoying it till he doesn't.
I can't wait to see what's going to happen. That's going to be like, oh, now I hate this game. Like I'm really liking it. I don't think it can change enough. It can change to make, it's not like my favorite game this year, but I think I might still really like it no matter what it does. Unless it says we're not a turn-based RPG anymore. All your party members are gone. Like it can't, no. I don't think it can change enough. But I will stand corrected if that's the case.
The grinding in the second half of the game really gets on your nerves.
I love the way you engage enemies by hitting them with action attacks to like some of them just die instantly. And other ones, like you hit them a few times, you get a critical hit and then you start the battle. They're like half health and they're all stunned. I think that's really a great improvement over what Persona 5 Royal was doing.
Yeah. What's your opinion on fighting the same enemy over and over and over and over?
I don't care. I think the bosses have been pretty cool so far. Like the human designs is really neat. Like,
I love David's
I'll clear like I'll go into like the desert and I'll clear out all the dogs. I'll go to the monastery. I'll just clear everybody out because combat is so fast. It's so snappy. Like it's not dragging on me fighting the same enemies because like the combat encounters last like 30 seconds. It's not like loading screen. Watch all these actions. You can skip everything. You can skip all the actions, all the sequences, and combat just wraps up really, really swiftly. So I'm all about that. I'm again, we'll see.
I'm looking forward
we'll have an update on this.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to when you hit the 20-30 hour mark.
Yeah. Hopefully next week because I've been. I just wrapped up classes last week and I've got some marking to do, obviously, but I will have more free time to share an update. So
I love the evolution of Paige's. Like Paige and I were like almost lockstep together for a lot of it, and it's hilarious because like we have one episode where we're like beaming about how great it is. I think we were right where you are basically. When we did the first episode, and then the second episode we were like, it's still good, but something's happening here.
All right.
I hope it hope it makes a landing. And then now the two of us are like, okay, when are we gonna crap on this game? Because like this is ridiculous. And Paige she refuses to finish the game. She was so mad at it. She's like, I'm not letting this waste any more of my time.
I can't wait to see what path Jordan goes down.
I will be very surprised if I fall off a cliff with the game as
He's
you're
going
describing.
down the SteamWorld Quest road.
I mean, I know you two have very similar preferences. The three of us don't always align on things, right? Like it's a Venn diagram where like David's on one side, Casey's on the other, and I'm in the middle, right? Or Casey and I like our Diablos, David and I like some games too.
Should we bring up the Octopath Traveler 1?
Exactly, right? You like Octopath 2. And then there's games like there's a little slice in the corner where it's only games that I like, apparently. So we've got Octopath. We're about to have Metaphor there too. So, oh yeah, it's good stuff.
Well,
but
yeah, maybe one day I'll play Metaphor and I'll be able to join in.
I'm looking forward to adding another ally to my side of the Metaphor hype train.
I think if any of us were to enjoy Metaphor, it would be you though, because I don't think you're as bothered
you're
by
a big dumb idiot.
Yeah,
that's exactly
like the only thing though is the writing is so bad. Like I don't know how it doesn't drive you insane. Like again, the writing isn't as bad in the first half of the game, but it's so bad in the second half.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I can't say I don't care about it. Like they're like again in Dragon Age Veilguard, like the writing really turned me off of that game. It made me. I think it's just going to take more because I love the progression, I love the combat. I think it's going to take a lot more for this game to turn me than it did for Veilguard. Veilguard, I was like, I just didn't have a huge tolerance for it. I will definitely have more BS tolerance for Metaphor doing something at the 20-hour mark than other games. So yeah, we will see. We will see.
The other, I don't. It's not really a spoiler for the archetypes, but the other problem with the archetypes in the second half is that, like now in the beginning, like you're leveling them up and you're experimenting with them, but then eventually get to the point where it's like, oh well, if you want this archetype, well then you have to level this one to 10, you have to level this other one to 20, then you have to level this third one to 10, and then it's like, come on, I just want to be the merchant. Like, why are you doing this to me?
So the funny thing is, I've been doing that. Like I've been capping them. Like I got my mage to 20. I'm like, okay, now if I get mage to 20, I can do this, or if healer gets to 20, I can do this. So I see like the nodes kind of branching off, and I'm like, okay, I do want that that evolved, that second tier class. So then I'll take a character back and I will like start working on a previous one. You also have the items, the hero incense that can just level up the thing. Like they're like souls, right? You just cash them in. So I see ways around that.
The archetypes that they kind of predetermined for you?
No, I switched right away. I switched all three right away. Yeah.
You might pay for that later.
Oh, is that right? That's okay. I did bring the hero back to the seeker class, but I switched what's his face to mage, or I don't know if maybe he started as mage, I don't remember. And then Hulkenberg is like a brawler right now or something. I changed him to he mastered mage. Now I've gone to gunner just to try it out. Gunner seems pretty powerful, but
you're talking about Strahl, right?
Strahl, yeah.
Okay. I ended up switching Hulkenberg to mage, and it.
Oh really? Yeah. No, I've kept her like physical defender kind of type.
Yeah. Well,
so she's brawler, but I kept like the knight defensive abilities, and her synthesis ability with the hero it's like a heavy strike. It does tons of damage to bosses.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I've just like gone a certain path with the progression so far that will maybe safeguard me against some future disappointments. Maybe who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
That is a failing of the game, though, right? That like if you have to get lucky and choose the right progression to have fun with it, but
because it kind of like, I guess that was the thing that bugged me too, because at the end, like when you get to the archetype, like as you progress the archetypes, there's like another level of them.
Yeah.
And then you would think that, oh well, and that any of them could be any of this master level, and it's like, nope. Hulkenberg could only be this type of master level, and I'm like, I didn't do any of those.
Yeah. No, I can see totally being frustrated by that, and that may still come to pass for me. We'll see. And so I'm just saying that I think the game starts off very strong, to the point where I am right now. I'm really into it, very engaged by it. And if my feelings did a 180, I would be very surprised by that. It would have to push me really to the brink to get me to not like what it's doing. So
I can forgive you for liking Metaphor now, but I'm like livid that Rebirth is not your game of the year.
I'm gonna finish Metaphor before I finish Rebirth. I think I can say that.
No, that's
certainly.
fine, because then when he finishes Rebirth, he'll see the errors of his way.
Well, what might happen is that I might finish Metaphor and be like, "Oh yeah, you guys are right. Like I pushed through, but it was terrible. I really need to go back to Rebirth to understand what a good game is." Like that kind of thing. I could see that, but
to be fair, I don't know if Metaphor is bad or not. I've not played it.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But I think you like being on the side of Jordan hates. Jordan's wrong about this. Or Jordan likes a game that no one else does, or something like that.
Well, I'll just say this. Your opinions of Metaphor just confirms to me that you don't deserve Tifa anyway, so you shouldn't play.
Oh, that's fair. I will have to win her back somehow. But yeah, I will. I need to hop off here. I got to get to basketball soon. But I will share. Dave, you will tell me. I'll tell you where I am at some point. You'll be like, okay, in the next hour, you're going to hit this point, and you're not going to like it anymore. I'm like, okay, like I'm bracing for this. This is good. And then
when you drop the F-bomb, that's when you know.
That's right. When I throw the controller and break my OLED TV, and then I need my Steam Deck for that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, but we definitely came away with some good things here, even if the ending was maybe a little bit of a left or right turn. The idea of me picking up a Steam Deck very definitely higher in my priority list than it was before we started. So thank you to both of you for that. The promise
wait.
or the
you mean you didn't order it yet?
No. During the episode,
what are you talking about?
I took a quick look at the prices again. I'm like, okay, I think I can make it work.
$550. Oh well, I forgot they're in Canadian too.
Yeah, it's like $689 or something, which is still better than the exchange would be, I think. So. Yeah,
you better do it now. Oh,
I know.
Here's your biggest reason to buy it right now before the tariffs come in.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Exactly. Isn't there the GST thing is happening soon too? Do you remember about that?
December 14th.
Right.
I think is But so I don't know if that applies. See, I just heard video games in general. I don't know what it applies to. So.
Yeah, consoles are. Well, I guess you'd call it considered a computer or something too. I'd have to look into that. I'm going to check on that actually, because if I can save 12%, that's a no brainer. I'll do that.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, thanks everybody.
Just take a road trip over to Alberta.
That's right.
No PST.
Little road trip in the winter. Yeah, I'm good with the.
You just have to go over up and down a mountain in the middle of.
You just need to bring someone with you so they could drive back and you can play the Steam Deck on the way back.
Oh my gosh, yes! I want to be in Casey's car where he gets to play video games in the car, not always driving. But I think that'll take us to the end here. Thanks for joining us, folks, for another episode of Thirsty Mage. Good to have the OG crew back together for a ride here. We're going to try to get Paige on an episode so we can have four of us. Do some 2024 revisiting. Thinking about the holidays and the year that was and all that kind of good stuff. So that is our plan for an upcoming episode. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we're going to try to work on our schedules and see if we can find a point that aligns. Also stay tuned, of course, for eventually me picking up a Steam Deck based on the suggestions made this evening. Maybe I'm not the only one who's convinced to get a Steam Deck after tonight as well. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. You can hop in the Thirsty Mage Discord. Always a good time there. Lots of friends and friendly discussions happening. Always going to keep plugging that along. I think by the time before this episode. When this episode goes live, I think it'll still be up, but I have put my book, A Game in the Life, on sale for 99 cents. So wherever you buy ebooks, the ebook version is still on sale for another couple days until the December 16th. I think is the last day for that 99-cent sale. So if you haven't grabbed it yet, that's a good opportunity to do so. I think that's all. Case, you want to plug anything?
No, not particularly.
All right, there we go. Okay.
He does have a podcast.
Yeah,
does he?
Most people know at this point, right?
Alex has a podcast. I don't know if Casey does, but
yeah, I show up sometimes.
Yeah, it's more the Alex show as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, that'll do us for this week. Thanks again, everybody. Hope you have a great night, great week, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.
Adios.
Bye.